coming to Woodward Sports. Woodward and Main Street. The Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions Show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle Dee Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
Good morning and welcome to another episode of Woodward and Main Street. I'm Gabrielle Dee Phillips alongside me, Matt Broder and Terry Foster. We are here on a Sunday morning. No, it is not a game day, but our shows are on Sundays and Tuesdays, and we thought we might as well recap this Lions loss. Earlier than later, you know.
It wasn't a loss, it was a debacle.
Yeah.
We are talking about Michigan football today? This is the Lions?
Will you
Shoot.
get that stupid looking grin off your face? My goodness.
It was going to be a rough 10 days if not for that Michigan game yesterday. We got to talk about the Lions, but there's my one little Michigan plug.
And I will put in one little Seminoles plug for the backup quarterback and the third string quarterback, taken away with a W from the swamp. So, back to the Lions, because while our collegiate teams may have won, the Lions did not.
No.
But we're going to cover it. We're going to figure out what they did wrong, what we would like to see them do better before they go to New Orleans, where we'll be here to preview the show in 1 week, 8 a.m. Sunday morning. But let's get into it. 29-22 loss at home on Thanksgiving to the Packers. We're going to cover off our pessimistic and optimistic from the previous show. And to start off with pessimistic, I said the waxing gibbous was going to get the Lions again, and well, it did.
That moon.
That's pretty much
I don't
it.
even know what that thing is.
It's the phase of the moon. So like when you look outside and it's like a certain like size that the moon is, it was a specific size of the moon.
Size of the moon, and it did the Lions in. Okay.
Yeah.
Size.
Optimistic, Matt said that the Packers were injured and that would help lead the Lions to victory. And
No,
not
it
so
went the
much.
opposite. It went the opposite. The guys who were playing were way too healthy.
Yeah.
Had way too much energy in the Lions. They really laid an egg. I mean, that was a tough way to start Thanksgiving. I guess some people are out of the turkey trot, were out of the parade, so I guess they started the day a little better. But no, those Lions, right from that first play, right when Jordan Love hit Christian Watson, what was it, 53-yard pass? I don't know. I had this weird feeling that it's going to be a long day, and it kind of was.
Very unfortunate. Terry, you had said that your optimistic was that we are going to see the Lions rattle Jordan Love. And
Jordan Love rattled the Lions.
Yikes.
Young guy. The atmosphere is electric.
Yeah.
I've seen other young quarterbacks melt down for the first time in there, but he was like, whatever.
He kind of looked like Aaron Rodgers up there. Like some of the passes he was throwing, three-quarters arm, sidearm, he was just flinging. He looked like the more veteran quarterback on that day.
Now, do you think it was louder this game than the previous game? Because we were going back and forth about that. Was Thanksgiving going to be louder than the Bears game?
I think it was louder in spurts.
Okay.
Right at the beginning of the game, it was louder. There were a couple third and longs. Even did Green Bay go for it on fourth? Whenever they were at third or fourth down, that stadium was rocking. Even in the third and fourth quarter, people were still around, still making noise. But from the whole game perspective, it might have been the one before.
Because the Lions fans never give up hope.
Never.
Ever. And then everyone's Thanksgiving meals were once again ruined. I saw somewhere online somebody had said that the Lions continue their Thanksgiving traditions by laying an egg for everyone to start off their Thanksgiving holiday. But positivity.
Maybe that's what we should have for Thanksgiving from now on. Instead of turkey, how about some big turkey eggs?
That's what we should have.
The ones that they laid?
Yeah, the ones that are laid, we scramble them up. And
where does this rank, Terry, in terms of Thanksgiving letdowns? Is this just sort of what some Lions fans have come to expect, or because of the Lions season so far, are they a little...
I think this has to be the top one, because usually you don't have expectations for the Lions by Thanksgiving. Their season is either done or they have to win 5 in a row and somebody else has to lose 4 out of 5 for them to make the playoffs. Now, people thought this would be a continuation of the season and that they would just keep on rolling. So I would think this is number one because there's more at stake
Yeah.
for the Lions and their fans.
Yeah.
So I hate to bring it up, but earlier before this week of games, we had said that we would be happy if the Lions went 2-1. Are you still happy that the Lions went 2-1? Because right before the Packers game, we did say, you know, that would be a disappointment if they came out of this 3-game run 2-1.
Yeah, I think the reason you're disappointed at 2-1 is because you lost to a bad team.
Yeah.
You could understand losing on the road against the Chargers, where it's always tough going from east to west and time zone changes and all that stuff. But then you get through that game, you look like crap against the Bears, but you win it, and so the Green Bay comes rolling, and you figure, okay, that should be 3-0, and it wasn't. So it's a disappointment. 2-1 is a disappointment. Which I told you 2-1 would be disappointing, no matter how it played out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with it. I am disappointed, but I'm okay with it. Like Friday, I maybe wasn't as okay with it.
Yeah.
But getting through this stretch at 2-1 is okay. It's just hard to understand this feeling because it was the Packers they lost to, not the Chargers. Because early in the season we beat the Chiefs but lost to the Seahawks. It's just kind of a polarizing feeling. But to escape to escape this 11-day stretch with 3 games, we're 2-1. We're 8-3. The Lions are 8-3 heading into the final stretch of the season. Like, that's something to be optimistic about. As ugly as really the last couple games have been. The Lions' offense was incredible against the Chargers, but let's not say their defense was playing so well that game. It's been 3 games in a row now where the Lions' defense has struggled, and the team just hasn't looked that great the last two games. I should say the last week, the last 2 games.
Do you remember how we said, the last part of the season is going to be so easy because the teams are below 500? Now it looks kind of tough right now. At New Orleans looks tougher. At Chicago looks tougher.
Minnesota.
Minnesota, home and away, looks tougher. Denver is playing better, so that looks tougher.
Dallas,
we already knew that was going to be tough because Dallas is killing people at home.
They're playing as good as they have all year.
Right.
In Denver. I thought
so
it was
now this easy stretch looks tough. That's the NFL. NFL is always changing. Teams change, and now there's a daunting task.
Yeah, I thought that Denver game, the Broncos, was going to be one of the easier ones on the schedule. Them coming to Detroit, but no, they've been playing. Them and the Cowboys have been one of the better teams in the NFL the last couple weeks. So that's no easy task there for the Lions.
Of the games coming up, what are you most nervous for?
Which game?
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't going to say this a week ago or a couple days ago, but I think it's the next one. I think it's the Saints. They haven't been playing. The Lions haven't been playing that great. They got some things to iron out on offense. I'm not worried about their offense, but they do have some things to worry to iron out there. But their defense, I don't really know where to begin. I'm still optimistic. They got some pieces. They got some people who can hold tough, but they got to come together a little better. They got to get a little more creative, I'd say, to make some things happen because they've been struggling. We'll start there.
I don't want to scold you, Gabrielle Dee Phillips, but T don't get nervous. I'm not nervous about anything.
I believe that.
Because I'm kind of not vested in this whole thing. I'm not on game day like, oh my God, the Lions got to win. They got to perform.
Yeah.
I sort of don't care. I care, but I'm not vested in it. So I don't get nervous about anything. Now, what the Lions must be concerned about is, it's the next game because you've had 2 clunkers in a row. It could have been a 2-game losing streak. Could have been a 3-game losing streak. But now, more than anything, you want to see this team be what it was before. And so you've had these 2 games that were outliers, we think, but now they've got to get back to what they were before. And you don't know if that's going to happen. There's no guarantee.
Yeah. I feel like they still haven't played a full game of complementary football of all three units, the offense, defense, and special teams all playing well together. Even of each level, the defensive line, linebackers, and safeties, secondary. I don't think they played a full complete game, so that's still in them. That's part of what gives me optimism. Now they got to figure out how to do that. Since they haven't done that, they got to figure it out. But there's still some potential there with that team, with that defense.
Would you be concerned if you don't see them play a complete game before the postseason?
Yeah. They got to figure out how to. We saw Sam Laporta in the locker room, and they've talked about it a couple times this year about wanting to go into December, wanting to go into that playoff run, playing the best football of their season. So it's just something they got to do. We see about it a lot in March Madness or in other sports. Just going into the playoffs, you want to be playing your best. That's why, Tom Izzo, Michigan State basketball, he schedules tough games at the beginning of the season so they can figure out what their team's like. And by the time March Madness comes along, they've been through some adversity. They've seen some things, and they're playing their best basketball. Now the Lions need to do the same thing here heading into what's expected to be a playoff run.
If they don't play a complete game the rest of the season, we could be looking at 9-7, them limping into the playoffs. So it could get that dangerous because nobody's afraid of the Lions. And one thing I've noticed, teams have adjusted to what the Lions do.
Yeah.
They've attacked their secondary. They've had quarterbacks make sure that they stay upright. They know that they can extend plays. They know that the quarterback is going to get time.
Mm-hmm.
So now what must happen is the Lions must adjust to the adjustments that have been made against them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm going to quote the great Charles Barkley again, who says there's no such thing as a sophomore slump. What happens is people have game film on you now. The NFL has looked at the Lions. They see they want to pound you. They thought they had a pass rush. They don't. So now the Lions must adjust to the NFL. And my suggestion is I would like to see their defense blitz more.
Okay.
I'd like to see the opposing quarterback harassed a lot more. And so I know Aaron Glenn does not like to blitz, but sometimes you gotta leave your comfort zone.
Yeah, and you think going into this last stretch, up until a couple of weeks ago, the Vikings were probably the team that had the least mobile quarterback and probably the most veteran quarterback on the roster. I guess you could throw Russell Wilson in there, but Kirk Cousins is out now. Josh Dobbs is in. He's a mobile quarterback. He can create with his legs. So there's a new wrinkle in that schedule also. You're right. They got to figure this out.
There's a couple things that the Lions have to figure out, including the offense and what is going to be happening there before they take on the Saints. We're going to get into that up in the next segment. Stick with us.
Calling all landscapers. This is Darren McCarty. I'm at Outdoor Equipment Co. How would you like to landscape like a legend? How about a bad boy zero turn? And even a chainsaw. And even a weed whipper. Whether you landscape for your job or landscape for fun, get all your equipment from Outdoor Equip Co., the official equipment provider of Woodward Sports. Michigan grown, family owned. OutdoorEquipCo.com.
Woodward Sports own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
Welcome back to another episode of Woodward and Main Street, brought to you by Les Stanford. Thanks so much, Les Stanford, for making this show happen. I'm Gabrielle Dee Phillips. Alongside me, as always, Matt Broder and Terry Foster. No, it is not a Lions game, but the NFL is playing plenty of games today, and maybe we'll get into in the last segment what games we're going to be watching today as the Lions are not playing. But before we get to that, we have to focus on the Lions here a little bit longer, and what we're going to be focusing on in this segment is the Lions offense. We're going to give a little offensive review here. So let's break it down. With 6 turnovers in the last 2 games, what is going wrong for Goff, and how can he get out of this rut before going to New Orleans? Even though Goff is not calling this a rut, he said, this is not a rut. We've only lost 1 game, but I would consider it a rut.
With you, young man, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
And we shall.
So let's get to it.
Well, Goff is no longer in his comfort zone.
Yeah.
What did he say against the Chargers? I didn't get touched. Now they're reaching out and touching
12 touches.
Yeah, there's a lot of touches. So what he's got to do, the theme today for me is going to be adjustments. He's got to adjust. He's got to realize, okay, I'm not this protected piece anymore. My offensive line is going through a rut, and so I've got to get the ball out quicker. I've got to hang on to the ball more. I got to be like the rest of the NFL quarterbacks. I'm not going to be in this insulated cocoon all the time where I can sit back, look over, have a good time, maybe, fry myself a hot dog or something on there before I release the pass. He's got to realize,
Glizzy.
this is the NFL. They're coming after me, and with his little tiny little hands, he's got hands like this. He's got to hang on to the football, and he's got to make decisions now under harassment.
Yeah, and he struggled with that. I mean, we saw the turnovers he had in the Chicago Bears game, those 3 interceptions, that could have been 5 interceptions.
Yeah.
They were either bad decisions or bad throws, but I wasn't as worried about him. It seems like he even that whole game, after throwing those interceptions, he seemed still confident in himself. Like he just moved right on to the next play. And we saw that at the end of the game, led him on that comeback in the final 4 minutes. The fumbles in the Packers game, he just looked out of whack the entire game, like something was going on. And I know this was probably the worst game that the offensive line played all year. Maybe we took them for granted, as much as we've been talking positively about them. Maybe we took them for granted. Obviously, Jonah Jackson was missing, and he earned himself a couple dollars not playing on Thursday. But they really struggled when they didn't have him in there. Colby Sorsdale, rookie out of William & Mary, he did not have his best game. I believe he got benched. Was in the first half. Yeah, subbed out for Coyote Awasika. And it wasn't much better from there. Goff didn't have the time, but he's a veteran. I've been defending Goff. He needs to be able to step up in the pocket, be able to move enough in the pocket, which I actually do think he's a decently mobile pocket quarterback. But he didn't do a very good job these last 2 games.
What did you say?
In the pocket, he's a decently mobile quarterback, escaping that pressure. But it felt like every time he was getting pressure, especially from the edges, he wasn't moving in and out of that. He was letting them get it and knock the ball out. Even when he tried to scramble a little bit, he was holding the ball out.
Nobody can use the word mobile and Jared Goff in the same sentence.
That's what they said about Peyton Manning.
Well, I'm just telling you,
Fair.
he doesn't even have the white boy wiggle to get out of things. Jared Goff is like a statue. Once he's there, you're gonna hit him. You're gonna do what you want to him. He's not gonna escape anything. What's he run in the 40? Like 6 something?
It's slow, but it's that feeling of the pressure coming from the outside and just being able to take one. I'm not saying his athleticism or his ability to scramble, which he doesn't have. It's just his ability to feel the pressure around him and elude that in the pocket before making a throw.
You know what his big play is when that happens? He throws the ball at somebody's feet. Yeah. That's his new thing.
Yeah, smart. Veteran.
It's smart, right? But that's not exactly.
But what about when Gibbs is open downfield and he throws it at somebody's feet instead of turning his head a little bit further and seeing Gibbs there who's completely open and no one's covering him?
Yeah. I mean, it could have been a mistake.
He's scared and petrified, so he didn't see him.
So are you more concerned now about the offensive line, or are you more concerned about Jared Goff not being able to make those quick decisions when under pressure?
That is a tough question. I'm going to go Jared Goff, because I always figure the offensive line, which is the backbone of this team, it can have a little slump, but it will figure it out. Those are 5 guys on the field at the same time who can put their heads together and figure things out. Understand, you can make changes. You take Sorsdale out, but you can't change your quarterback. He is who he is. So I'm more concerned with him if he doesn't get the proper time before. Because Jared Goff, man, he was living in a king's kingdom.
Yeah.
All he had to do, go back, play action, look over the field. Nobody was near him. And then he showed us great mobility as
Pocket awareness. Pocket
Broder
mobility.
would tell him. He's like another Michael Vick. You're right about that, Rod. What have I been missing? But yeah, I'm more concerned about him because you know what? What do we say about Jared Goff? What's going to happen to him when his offensive coordinator Brad Johnson leaves? What is he going to be? And Jared Goff has shown us the last 2 games what he was in L.A. Now, Dan Campbell, Brad Johnson, all these guys have got to kind of put Humpty Dumpty back together again.
Oh, he did fall off the wall a little bit. This might be a cop out. I'm not worried about either of them at all.
Okay.
At all. This is bad and bad coming in at the same time. This is a rut. Like literally, this is just a bad stretch of football.
Yeah.
They proved it. They now have a sample size, offensive line and Jared Goff of the last 20, 25 games where this hasn't happened. These last 2 games were an anomaly. Like he almost set the record for most pass attempts in a row without an interception. I think they're fine. I worry about if there are two injuries to that offensive line. I think they can figure it out. It wasn't a good game out of Colby Sorsdale or anyone in that left guard position. But he's getting better. He's a rookie. I have full confidence that a line led by Ragnow, Sewell, and Taylor Decker will be fine.
He's getting better. They pulled his ass.
I know.
How's he getting better?
For a rookie, as tough as it is to deal with, we don't want to see the Lions lose a game. But as a rookie, going through as bad as this game was it's part of the process of figuring
building.
He's going to be better the next time. To be honest, I was surprised he was starting at left guard both these games. Like, he's been practicing all offseason at right guard. He was a right tackle in college. They're putting him in new positions, and he's going to make mistakes. Now he's getting him out of his system. Good.
Yeah, but, this wasn't mistakes, man. They were moving him back like he was a shopping cart. Now you go grocery shopping at Kroger.
I do.
You just push that cart along and get your groceries. That's what he looked like out there.
And that was where all the pressure was coming on Goff.
Speaking of Goff completed 29 of his 44 passes for 332 yards with 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 3 fumbles, and a passer rating of 103.6. Love finished 22 of 32 passing for 268 yards with 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a passer rating of 125.5. He also rushed for 39 yards on 2 attempts. So comparing these stats, do you still believe that Goff is a quarterback to lead the Lions into a successful postseason?
Well, he's got to be. If he gets time and he's no longer harassed, he's a good quarterback. He showed that during 20 games, the 20-game stretch where they went 16-4.
Yeah.
And I think what happens in this town in particular is we will see a good 20-game stretch, and we'll wipe it all out because we see one bad game or 2 bad games. But, the reason of that is this town has been abused by the Lions. This town is waiting for the floor to drop out. This town knows that the Detroit Lions at some point are going to let you down.
Yeah.
That's what they believe. So when they see 1 game or 2 games, they're like, oh, God, here it comes again. And so the Lions don't have cachet like the Steelers have, like the Niners have, like the Green Bay Packers had. They don't have that cachet. You see it, you like it, but you don't totally believe in it.
You still believe in it, though, Matt.
Oh, yeah. It's because of how this team's built. It's built through their offensive line. As long as they're healthy, as long as Goff is healthy, they got enough weapons on the outside across the middle of the field that they're going to be fine. I think Goff is that guy who can lead them there just with his his savviness, his maturity over the years. Again, just put these last 2 games behind you. Goff has been more than fine. We've been talking about him in the MVP conversation, not necessarily to win it, but in that top group. So I have full confidence that they're going to figure it out. They got a great coaching staff. Ben Johnson is still here. Maybe we worry about it when he's not here, but he is still here, and they're going to figure out how to adapt to the teams now adapting to them.
Speaking of the coaching staff, the Lions only converted 1 of their 5 fourth-down attempts on Thursday, and we have to talk about the fake punt, which Dan Campbell said was a bad call, and he should not have done that. Were you disappointed in Dan Campbell's fake punt call, or do you believe that he should have done that because he should continue with his bold decisions because that's who he is?
Well, we can't get into the habit of if the dumb plays or the dumb calls he makes works, we can't be having emojis of him with the big balls, walking around, and then when they don't work, we put a dunce cap on them. So we have to figure out what should he be as a coach. Excuse me. I think what's happened with Dan Campbell, he goes for it too much. A lot of times fake punts, fake field goals, fake anything work because there's an element of surprise. That fake punt, there was no element of surprise. It was almost like Green Bay was like in their base defense waiting for it. Because they knew this is what he does. And my understanding, all week, he's going to fake punt, he's going to fake punt, he's going to fake punt. Watch for it. And they did. And it didn't work.
The element of surprise is kind of gone now.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have that same magic that it did before.
Yeah. No one expected it against Kansas City week 1, but I'm sure, like Terry said, the Packers they practice that every day in their walkthroughs this week since their game on Sunday. Hey, they're going to go for it on 4th down. Whenever their punters out here don't believe it, like they're probably going to go for it. So you're 100% right. The element of surprise. It was a bad decision, and I'm glad he fessed up to it. That's part of his awareness, his maturity over the years, realizing that was a bad call. I don't mind the 4th down calls, by the way. He realizes, especially when you drive down the field right after the Packers score, you drive down, you get a touchdown, and your kicker misses the extra point. We knew we weren't going to see the kickers the rest of the game. That faith, that trust went out the window with that. So they're going to go for it. But Terry's right. You got to build in some element of surprise in some way. Or forget the fake punt. Just put your offense out there. If you're at 4th and 4, 4th and 5, I want to see Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown in that offensive line there doing what you do.
Right. Since Green Bay was not surprised, you may as well put your offense out there and just do that. Because, like you said, I'd rather have Goff to St. Brown than who would they give it to?
Jalen Reeves Maven.
Than him.
Yeah, captain.
I don't care if he's a captain. He shouldn't have the ball in a situation like that.
That is the offensive review. We're going to get into the defense, their performance in this last game. We're going to look for the silver lining and figure out what they have to do to take down and stop the Saints. So stick with us, and we'll be right back.
Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, 2 of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Broder and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Broder and Broder.
Gabby is a college student struggling to study for her big exam. Then she discovered Syntron, a healthy way for her to stay awake and focus. Jennifer frequently has chaotic days like this until she gets online, orders some Syntron, and finds her groove. April visited her local grocery store, purchased a case of Syntron, and entered to win the Syntron 100K Vegas giveaway. Pick up your case of Syntron today at any Meijer location or visit drinksyntron.com/Vegas and enter for the 100K Vegas giveaway.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
Good morning and welcome back to another episode of Woodward and Main Street, brought to you by Les Stanford. I'm Gabrielle Dee Phillips. Alongside me, Matt Broder and Terry Foster to kick off your NFL Sunday. No Lions playing today, but we are talking the Lions' loss on Thanksgiving. It has to be done. We have to talk about it. We have to learn from our mistakes and move on. And there's plenty to learn from in this game. It was a learning point. You know, building character.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to talk about the defense up next. We just recap the offense. So if you weren't able to catch that, make sure to rewind and then catch up with us in the segment to talk about the defense. So our defensive review, let's start it off. The Lions allowed the Packers to score quickly on their first two drives. Were you surprised the Packers decided to start with the ball? And do you think this was kind of their strategy because they knew they had to get on the board quickly against the Lions and take control?
Well, obviously they saw the Chicago Bears game, and the Bears just ran up the field like nothing on the first drive. So they said, "Let's do it. Let's do the same thing."
Yeah.
So I think it's better to get that 7-0 lead than it is to get the ball to start the second half. Be up 7-0 and take your chances from there. And I think that's what Green Bay wanted to do, and obviously that's what they did, and a smart strategy. Because, for some reason, the Lions, the last two games are coming out flat, especially on the defensive end. The defense plays better. Like this game, I don't blame this on the defense. I blame it on Dan Campbell's knucklehead call with the fake punt. That did the Lions in way more than the defense did.
Yeah, they didn't get enough credit for how they responded to some of those bad field positioning. Dan Campbell giving the ball to the Packers on the Lions, 25-yard line after that fake punt. You're right. I do have some concerns, but people are realizing, Terry, I don't remember, or any of you guys, you remember Jeremy Bonderman, the old Tigers pitcher? He always seemed to give up 5 runs in the first inning, or he'd have his worst inning in the first, and then he'd be rock solid the rest of the game. The Lions have been struggling right out of the gate, and these teams are realizing that, and I think picking that apart, choosing to take the ball isn't normal in the NFL these days. The Packers, Matt LaFleur, they had a strategy and they came in and executed it. I'm starting to think maybe the Lions want to do that. Get the ball into Jared Goff and in that offense's hands, Jahmyr Gibbs, and I should start naming some weapons and not just JG. Start the ball and put them on their heels. That offense is a little different when they're playing from behind, and the defense too. When they have to make stops, it's a little different than being ahead and making sure that you stop the Packers. But I do have some concerns.
When did this trend start of the team choosing to start on defense?
This has been going on, I would say, at least 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
No, it's been longer than that. Bill Belichick really got this going because Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots, they wanted to get that 2-for-1 deal at the end of the half. You score late, you give the other offense the ball with 20 seconds left, and then you take over again. So you get 2 straight possessions, and I think that was a Bill Belichick thing. He probably started that 10, 15 years ago. And the rest of the league say, okay, he's won a few Super Bowls. We think we'll try it too.
Do you think this is now maybe a sign that that trend might be turning in the opposite direction?
No, it's just the Lions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it will still stay the same, but maybe teams, when they put the Lions, will say, we want the ball first.
Yeah. We saw an example yesterday. A good old Ryan Day of Ohio State decided to do whatever he could not to give the ball back to the Michigan Wolverines before halftime, knowing that they get the ball to start that second half. Michigan does. So I don't think it's going anywhere. Coaches want to try to strategize in how they can best set their teams up to win. Ironically, the Lions have been pretty bad in the third quarter all season, except for this past game against the Packers. They went out and they scored their opening drive, looked great. It just hasn't worked out in their favor these last couple weeks.
Can we have this man change his shirt?
Oh.
He's still so excited about yesterday's game.
He's bringing it up any chance he gets, hey?
Well, it was a perfect. I wasn't even thinking about it. It was a
good
perfect example.
It was a good example, and there he goes again with the ball. Back to the Lions' defense. The defense was held to no sacks again this week.
Hutch.
Who do you believe should have put a sack on the board this game? Matt.
Oh Lord,
Hutch.
why'd you set him up for?
That was you just gave me the alley oop. Windmill, slam it in. I actually
we
don't
move
blame
on?
Hutch that much. He should have. Did he get one sack? I can't. That game seems so long ago. That defensive line wasn't getting enough pressure on Jordan Love. It feels like we're saying it each and every week. You pair that with a secondary that struggled. This was probably Jerry Jacobs' worst game of the season. It was a bad combination of play from that defensive line and that secondary, and even the linebackers didn't even have their best coverage day. So when you pair that together, and Jordan Love's escapability, he escaped on a couple long runs. It was almost as if they had no chance. Those wide receivers who are big, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, they had time and they had space, and Jordan Love he was finding them. That one of the two, you either need your cornerbacks to lock up your receivers, which is hard to ask to do in the NFL these days, or you need the defensive line to get enough pressure to make it easier on those cornerbacks so they don't have to cover them that long. Both kind of dropped the ball or never caught the ball on Thursday.
I'll tell you who needed to have a sack. Not a name, but a position group.
Okay.
Linebackers or cornerbacks. That means you're blitzing. That means you're putting heat on the quarterback. And I think the thing that Aaron Glenn needs to come to grips with is he does not have a pass rush. Yes, he's got Aiden Hutchinson. What else you got?
That's it.
Yeah. So until you get that second rusher in there, it's always going to be like this. It's not going to change unless you change. And the change the Lions need to make, I still say they need to blitz the corners sometimes, blitz Anzalone or whomever, but it's something he doesn't want to do. He does it very infrequently, but he needs to do it. Look who's creeping up on him. Minnesota Vikings, what do? They blitz all the damn time. Probably too much. But I'm going to harken back to my conversations with defensive coordinators of the past in the Lions. They always come in, we're going to be aggressive, we're going to blitz, we're going to cause havoc. Then after a while, they kind of back off of that and say, no, we're going to go bend but don't break and everything. And I'm afraid Aaron Glenn might be doing the same thing. So, yeah, we're going to be men, we're going to punch you in the face. Maybe that's not such a good idea. But it's the NFL, that's what you got to do.
Yeah, it's strange because that normally is his strategy. He is normally an aggressive, play man coverage, blitz a lot, really try to just get to the quarterback and let your cornerbacks, have or limit the amount of time they have to cover the wide receivers and let people make plays. We just haven't seen that. It feels like it's gone conservative. And you were calling for Alex Anzalone before the game to be the Lions,
right?
Top sack man for the rest of the season. I agree with you. They need to start doing something like that. Get more creative with their calls.
If you had to pick, this is kind of along those same lines, if you had to pick one position group for Aaron Glenn to focus on this week, what / who would it be?
Well, maybe it's a position group that Brad Holmes should have practiced.
Which one of the two?
That's all we're talking about is the defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Hutchinson is not having a good season because he's not getting support. And the NFL is one of those leagues where you can't do it by yourself. You can't be a one-man wrecking crew and be successful. You need help from your partner next to you and maybe somebody else from a different position group. But I think he needs to fix that defensive line, which may not be fixable. And here's the other thing. How many times is Bugs going to be out of the game because he's ill? What's the dude got, COVID or something?
Yeah.
He's like ill all the time. But there's something else going on there.
Yeah. I've heard of too many healthy scratches actually being healthy.
Yeah. If you have an ankle or a knee or something, I understand that. But illness? Come on now.
Yeah.
That's a code that we're not going to play you. We don't trust you.
Yeah.
But the man, I'm not saying he's an all-pro, but he makes plays now and then.
Yeah. I feel like you need that veteran presence out there because they aren't making plays, so you might as well have the most veteran guys out there who are in the right position every time. I'm going to go with the defensive line too, because I think they rely so much on this team is going to rely so much on their development, not necessarily fixing anything, just needing to get more out of your players. They're all relatively young and not necessarily your top tier athletes. So there's got to be, the strategy has to change. The strategy has to be different, and that comes from the top. To me, there's only so much you can do with that secondary. The cornerback depth just isn't there. I really like Cam Sutton and Jerry Jacobs, but after that, it falls off. So one thing I worried, I think I saw Detroit Dyson sort of reference something like this earlier in the chat. I worry about this team needing to play with a chip on their shoulder. Like Jerry Jacobs, is he a better third cornerback, playing with that edge to try to get that starting spot versus locking up that number 2 starting spot and just being the guy? Does the defensive line, do they need to feel like they have something to prove, that they something to bring out more than what we're getting out of them, because they've just laid an egg. They're not getting to the quarterback. They're not winning their one-on-one battles.
Right. And you mentioned that edge, and maybe something might be going on in the locker room that we don't know about. There was the video from, I think there was a podcast, Locked on Lions. So Corey Joseph arguing with Dre Bly, who's the defensive backs coach. C.J. Gardner-Johnson is trying to keep them apart, and Corey Joseph was just pissed off the whole time during that video. So what was he upset about? Everybody's trying to calm him down. Now, I have been told umpteen times, do not pay attention or don't put too much into these sideline tirades. Mm-hmm. That every NFL game, there's 5 to 6 each game.
Yeah.
That it's a highly volatile situation. People are all amped up. You're taught the whole week to kill, kill, kill. Everything doesn't go right your way. And so there's going to be not spats, but eruptions on the sideline each and every game.
Yeah.
And most of the time, the cameras don't catch it or somebody doesn't pay attention to it, but it's happening every game. So do we put something into this, like, okay, something is going on with the Lions that we don't know about? Or do you just, or should I, speaking for myself, do I go back to my teachings from my NFL brother and say, hey, T, you're going to see that every game.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal.
I'd say go back to your NFL teachings, and I personally look at it as a good thing. We haven't heard about this happening much with the Lions, and you don't want it to be a consistently negative thing, but having a little fire during a bad game, which Kirby Joseph was not playing his best game. That very first play, there was some miscommunication between Kirby Joseph and Cam Sutton that led to Christian Watson being so open down the field. So I don't mind a little fire. It was just competitive guys on the sideline. And I'm sure C.J. Gardner, C.D. Deuce, wasn't helping. I'm sure he was poking the bear a little bit. But having all these guys and a veteran like Dre Bly, the fact that it was Dre Bly who had that fiery mentality, that's how he played. I'm sure he got into a ton of dust-ups during his career. I think they got the right coach for that stuff to happen. They got the right coaching staff for that to happen. I have no problem seeing a little fire on the sideline, as long as it's contained, which I believe it is.
C.J. Gardner-Johnson back on the sideline, obviously not participating in the game, but kind of nice seeing him back out there, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. It's sort of hinting at a return. Although I got a picture on that day, on game day, where he's wearing his blue mask. Actually, people weren't too excited about that. They're like, get that mask out of Ford Field. I think that's retired.
He's trying to turn it back around and make it a positive again. I don't know if it's too far the other way for it to be made positive.
Well, actually, it's actually cold now. You should wear your mask.
If that's what it's for.
I'm not gonna lie, we were out the day after Thanksgiving outside. My dad had purchased several blue masks for that game and was peddling them on the street, and he had a couple leftovers in there in his car. And he was
Your dad was selling them?
Oh yeah, he was out on the streets, making use of that C.J. Gardner-Johnson call to action, and we had a couple left over because he thought, well, I'll sell more the next game. Obviously, that did not happen. And he had some in his car, and I was like, I'm freezing. We were standing outside, and he was like, well, I have some of those blue masks in the car if you want some. I was like, no,
you
I don't think so.
Young lady, better be careful, because you put that mask on, somebody might try to beat you up.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
You think so?
Try to whoop your ass. Yeah.
Maybe.
So you gotta be careful, because we hate those masks now.
Yep, that is true. That is true. So I need to be careful. Avoid the masks.
Yeah, they're kicking somebody's ass. Oh, no, that's Gabby. We got to stop it.
And then
Or
you're like,
Anzalone.
no, let's see how this plays out.
Right, even the person beating her up would feel bad. Is this really Gabby? Oh, I better stop.
We will be right back. We're going to take a look at what is ahead, what we'll be watching today, and speaking to some of the Lions fans out there. So we have a message for you. Tune back in just a couple minutes.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy?
It's Planet Fitness.
Join today for just $1 down, $10 a month. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. And with free fitness training and most clubs open 24 hours, everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime. Deal ends Wednesday, September 13th.
Join now at any Metro Detroit location. Hurry, offer ends soon.
How would you like to win not one, but 2 vehicles of your choice? One for you and one for your wife, your girlfriend, or your best bud. Get to Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut and automatically enter for your chance to win. Courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. Lady Jane's, open 7 days a week, walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Welcome back to another episode of Woodward and Main Street. I'm Gabrielle Dee Phillips, alongside me, Michigan alumni Matt Broder and Central alumni
Yes.
Terry Foster.
Can we make him take that ball down or something? Throw it away?
I like hanging on to it. There's just something about him. Usually I have a pen I'm spinning down here, but having this ball, I like it. Did you hook up Connor Stallions on the CMU sideline, Uncle T?
Excuse me?
Nothing.
He's silly.
Good answer. Good
kick him out.
answer.
What did you guys get up to for Thanksgiving after the game?
Turkey.
Turkey?
I ate a lot.
Did you have sweet potato pie?
I had sweet potato pie.
Great.
And I tell you what was better than sweet potato pie? Rum cake.
Ooh.
And this rum cake had rum in it.
Oh.
Yeah, it made my eyes water. But it was good.
Wow.
Good.
Any Black Friday purchases?
Zero. I'm in save mode.
Yeah, my son
Save
wanted
that
to go
money.
to the mall Thanksgiving night. I'm like, dude, I'm tired. We're not doing this.
Too much rum cake.
Too much rum cake, mac and cheese, greens, turkey.
We have it so
All the
easy.
fixings.
We have it so, especially around Black Friday. I feel like when I was growing up, as kids, like if we wanted something, our parents had to, wait in line at Best Buy to get the PlayStation or Xbox or something.
Yeah.
Now with Amazon and getting stuff online, we got it easy. I'll admit that.
Yeah,
We
Cyber
don't have to
Monday
leave our
tomorrow,
house.
Small Business
I
Saturday
still like
yesterday.
going to the stores.
Yeah.
I like to wrestle with people and throw my elbows around and pick stuff out.
I'm sure you've made the news a couple of times for being the guy that knocked an old lady out while she was trying to get her grandson some socks.
Hey,
or
she
something.
shouldn't have been in the way.
I knew
Sorry,
it.
Granny.
I called it. I
Jingle
called
all the
it.
way.
Let's talk about some of the Lions fans because I want to know.
Lions fans.
There it is. Do you find Lions fans are more quick to turn on the team this season after a loss, or do you attribute this to Lions' successful start to the season?
I think Lion fans are a little bit stupid. To be honest with you.
We love you.
And we lost 25 viewers.
No,
The smart ones.
These are the same people. If the Lions are, let's say they're 2-4, and they're walking, they can still win the rest of their games and make the playoffs and go to the Super Bowl. They still got a shot. Now that they lose to go 8-3, the season's done. And I'll tell you, there's this guy that annoys the hell out of me. He's a car wash guy. I get my car washed now and then. Mm-hmm. This guy's been telling me the last 6 or 7 years. He comes to my car and says, we winning 15 games this year. I said, Lions are not winning 15 games, dude. Get out of here. So he's always pumped up. Then when the Lions start off 1-6, the guy disappears. I never see him again until the next season when they're 0-0. They're going to win 16 games this year. Well, I saw this dude after this Thanksgiving game. They're not going to win the game the rest of the year. I'm like, dude,
He's
wait a
down
minute.
bad.
He's going 0-6.
When they're 1-6, you jumping up and down saying they're gonna do this, and now they're 8-3, and they said they're not gonna win another game. What is wrong with you? But like I said, Lion fans are scarred, scared. They've been abused by the Lions, misused by the Lions. So I can understand to a certain extent why they feel that way. But, guys, what have your eyes told you the last 20 games? That they're good.
Yes.
There have been times when they've had clunkers. Carolina, Seattle. I don't know if Seattle was a clunker because Seattle's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
You lost to them in overtime.
But people
The
didn't know
Ravens-
that they were going to be that good at that point.
Well, we
like
know
they're
it
just
now.
proving it down
We
the
know it
stretch.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now the Lions have always rebounded and gotten good after this town goes ape shit. Now they're going ape shit again. So let's see what happens in New Orleans.
New Orleans is up next.
You got something to say, Mr. Go Blue?
Yeah.
Y'all quiet and everything.
No, I was listening. I was letting that
Taking
sink
it
in
in.
a little bit. I'm with you. What surprises me most, the conversation that certain Lions fans, sorry, Jalen, that are cool, that would prefer the number 2 seed versus the number 1 seed going into the playoffs. I don't get it. There is a part of the fan base, and I empathize with them a little bit because I think there is the need to learn how to be a fan of a good team, like a consistently good team. It's a different, it is a different feeling with the pressure on of not just having another losing season, but when you have the 1 seed in front of you or the 2 seed in front of you and you drop a game to the Packers in division, which you should be blowing them out, like dealing with those emotions, that is something new. How do you recover from that? But you got to take a step back and see they're 8-3, and there's still a pathway to the playoffs, to a top seed. I mean, the 1 seed's still alive. Might be a little stretch to get there now, but you can still get this team right and have a playoff run with this team that they have now. They're just going to take a lot of stuff to come together, and they got to figure it out in the next 6 games.
I think we need, or somebody needs to write a book entitled How to Root for a Real NFL Team.
Yeah.
Because I don't think people know.
Terry, let's do that.
Okay.
You and me.
And we'll put it,
Are
put
you
the
good
Woodward and Main Street
illustrator?
glossary in there.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you can draw some little pictures and stuff, and I
Yeah.
can write it.
Yeah, perfect.
He's demoted you from writer to picture drawer, not
Well, I
even
can't draw,
illustrator.
so
You're
somebody's
a
gotta draw.
doodler.
He's
You
the
can be
legendary
doodle.
writer, so I'll defer to whatever
We
Terry
can have you
needs.
doodle.
I'll doodle. I'll doodle.
So would you say that the Lions fans are more overreacting to every loss or overreacting to the wins?
To the losses, definitely. Because every time they lose, this is the end. They just, like I said,
Yeah.
man, they're just like, man, the Lions never going to recover again. The pass rush is garbage, so it's going to result in them. Like I said, my man, the car wash, they're not going to win a game the rest of the season. Even the optimists are saying they're going to go 2-4 the rest of the way.
Yeah.
And a few weeks ago, it's like, oh, they may not lose the second half of the season.
Yeah, you got Channel 2 weeks ago. Look at that offense. Think about the defense in the Kansas City Chiefs game, like how tough they played. And I know the Kansas City Chiefs were a little underhanded, but I'm thinking of that toughness, that grittiness that this team is identifies with, that Dan Campbell preaches. That's what they looked like in that Chiefs game. So the pieces are there. It's just got to all come out together at the same time. And that's what these coaches have to figure out in these next couple weeks, how to bring the most out of of each unit, both on offense and defense at the same time, because they're not going to get healthier. We hope that their offensive line, we hope that their guys, stay as healthy as possible. You know what? I'll take that back a little bit, actually. They are getting healthier because James Houston could be returning. C.D. Deuce could be returning. So there are pieces to this defense, pieces to this team that they still have the ability to play with.
Do we really have to call him C.D. Deuce?
I think that's legally his new name.
Do we really have to do that?
I don't know. If it's legally his name, that's what I'm trying to make this. If I see him in the locker room in the next couple weeks, he'll probably correct me if I say C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
We had to start calling Twitter X, so I guess we had to start calling C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
I still call it Twitter. I'm sorry.
Me too.
It takes a little bit of time to catch on. So maybe it'll take a little bit of time to catch on to C.D. Deuce.
It's like before they switched the name back, it was always Pine Knob to me.
Is it? What is going to be on the back of his jersey? Do they have to switch his jersey now?
It's going to be double Deuce. It's going to be Deuce, or Deuce number 2, or
You know what? Deuce number 2 is nasty, man.
I know. I'm walking myself into something dirty, literally.
That's something you don't want to think about.
No.
I do want to think about what games you guys are going to be watching today.
Nice pivot out of that.
We're not going to watch. We're just going to let's watch the replays of the Michigan-Ohio State game.
Yeah.
All day.
I'm actually going to watch another Ohio State quarterback today. And I don't usually say that proudly, but I'm excited to see C.J. Stroud against the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars. I just think that's a good game today. Won't be rooting for Ohio State. I mean,
I'm going to be watching the Steelers today because I want to see their pivot from the release of Matt Canada.
Oh, blame Canada.
So
let's go some
that's
points.
going to be my game today.
Breakout game for Kenny Pickett.
We'll see. Maybe they'll fire back up after a little switch,
who scores the most points? The Pittsburgh Steelers or the Iowa Hawkeyes?
What do they both average? About 13 points a game.
I know. You when you win the Big Ten title, all you got to do is score on the opening drive. The game's done.
Yeah, Michigan's used to playing in games with the other team under 10. Just saying.
So Michigan is going to take the kickoff, not defer to the second half. They'll score on the opening drive and start celebrating.
Yeah.
Because the game's going to be over. 7-0.
Any game you're looking forward to today, Terry?
I am an old school, old fart. I still like the NFC North. The Bears and the Vikings are playing. I always like seeing those. No matter if they're garbage, I always like to see the Bears, the Vikings, and the Packers play.
Gotta evaluate what's going on. See what the lines are getting themselves into.
No, I don't have to evaluate. I don't have to do anything. I just like watching them play because these are my teams.
Okay.
They used to all play in the cold. They always used to be nasty football. I still remember the dudes used to wear the big black high top black shoes. Those are my guys playing in the mud and stuff. But now there's 2 domes, and they're turf in Chicago, and
it's not the same.
It's not the same, but it's
no
still
grit.
my old school guys.
Love it.
I still think I'm going to watch the Bears and Dick Butkus is going to run out there and crush somebody.
Dick Butkus.
Just waiting for it. No one's watching the Saints today, hey? No one wants to see what we're going to be getting ourselves into next week?
Well, who do they play again?
They play the Falcons.
Yeah, see.
Falcons are going to choke.
Think so?
So we know that. They always do.
The Falcons aren't good. They should be better than they are. I don't know what's going on with them down in the ATL.
He's spending too much time on Pat McAfee.
Who?
Their coach.
Arthur Smith?
Yes.
Oh, with the mustache.
Smith is spending too much time on Pat McAfee and not enough time coaching me.
Yeah. That was a pretty good defensive game that the Detroit Lions played against Desmond Ridder and the Falcons. That was nice. That was when Bijan had all the hype coming into Ford Field.
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, there's
the
Vikings.
we will have all the hype going into the next game. We will be back here next Sunday to cover the Lions at Saints. I thought that was you making the music noise. Did you start it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going crazy.
Oh no, that's cool. Are you talking
that
pew
was
pew?
just-
That was
yeah.
I was responding to Jay Cruz and giving him his daily pew
Well, it
pew
sounded
back.
very similar to our outro song that's going on here.
Yes.
Thank you, Kool-Aid. Thank you, Dalen, for making this show happen this morning. We will be back here next Sunday, 8 a.m. Gabrielle Dee Phillips, Matt Broder, Michigan alumni, Terry Foster. Central Michigan.
I never would have known he went to Michigan.
No clue. No clue. Thanks so much for tuning in this morning. We'll see you back here in a week. Have a great day.